Welcome everyone. It's great to see a lot of names that are not only familiar, but a lot of new folks as well. So welcome to the SSPI-WISE meeting for April. Today we do have a lot of great content. Our wonderful speaker that we'll hear about soon, as well as outbriefs from the working groups. So not to take up too much more time, Tamara, I'll turn it over to you first.
Excellent. So I am super excited. Welcome everyone. I'm very excited to see all the faces rolling in. And I have the distinct honor and pleasure of being able to introduce from our mentoring working group, Ms. Andrea. See, we had a whole conversation that I was going to get it right, and then I totally don't. Andrea Malater. That's the only way I can get it right, is to say the whole name all the way out. Andrea Malater is here. Andrea is one of our original founding women of SSPI, a founding woman in the industry, one of the original satellite groupies, and as well, the first woman who was recognized by SSPI as Mentor of the Year. And I'm just very excited that she carries forward that legacy of mentorship by joining us here in SSPI-WISE and being a part of the working group here and sharing her mentorship and knowledge. And so with that, I'm going to turn this over to Andrea, who is going to lead us in this next part of our program.
Thanks, Tamara. And I have the distinct honor and privilege of introducing our speaker. And before I do that, I'm just going to do the little bit of housekeeping. We're going to have a presentation. We're going to be taking questions and answers and doing a little survey at the end. And I'm going to be moderating all that. So as we proceed, if you have questions, comments, or anything, put them in the chat. I'll be checking the chat and pulling up the questions. Our speaker, our primary speaker today, is Mary Frost, who is a member of the SSPI Hall of Fame, someone who started out in television production and worked her way up to being a lifetime awardee from the North American Broadcasters Association, in addition to her SSPI Hall of Fame. She has been involved in every aspect of satellite television and then other parts of satellite. She has been the CEO of, I can't remember how many companies, mostly involved with broadcasting, but also others. And one of the main things that reasons why we asked her to do this presentation today is because one of her later career activities was teaching presentation skills to U.S. Army officers at Fort Meade. So she has a lot of experience in that. We're also going to be having available to take some of the questions. As I said, I'll moderate them. Penelope Longbottom, who also is an SSPI Hall of Fame member, inductee, and was one of the people who created the Satellite Industry Association, and has a long career in media and communications, in particular related to satellite, from the beginnings of Hughes DirecTV all the way through many other organizations. And also Joe Mancuso, who has spent a career in global sales and marketing across the satellite and telecom industry, which means that she knows how to spin a story and sell it to executives at all different levels. And so she's also available to help answer questions. So with that, Mary, I'm going to turn it over to you and let Tamara pull up the slides.
Good morning, everybody. Good day. And thank you, Mastermind, Andrea Malater. And I'm sorry, I have to say it that way too. Andrea. Joe Mancuso and Penelope Longbottom, my good buddies and friends. We all worked on this, and originally I was going to say this 3-part presentation skills was a compilation, but it's really a distillation because it really applies to any presentation you do, whether it's internal to your company, external, or to a conference. So let us begin with the first part. The most important part is possibly presentation. So the first thing you have to do is define
Just
your
a second. All right, Tamara's got to get her. There we go. Got the slides up.
This is the three parts that we have distilled: preparation, presentation, and follow-up. So if you go to the next slide, you begin with starting your objective, defining your objective very, very clearly. What do you want people watching this presentation to walk away with? Our objective is for you to feel comfortable by doing these three steps and to be able to make presentations. An idea, a concept of an ill-defined objective would be the first day I walked into ABC Network News and the big VP said, I want you to do all of the positions for affiliates for the upcoming political convention. Coming from an academic background, I went away and came back with great definitions and very precise language for lighting and edit suites and stand-up positions and microphones and cameras. And he threw it in the trash and said, that's not it. And go do it again. I went and did it again and again and again until finally someone took mercy on me and said, Charlie does not read. You have to do diagrams. So the point of that is always think of your audience and use things that appeal to them, whether it's a CEO or a finance or an engineer. Then you have to ask, why are you there? What is your goal? Our goal, our collective goal, is to make sure you feel comfortable with doing presentations. The thing is, who cares? Ask yourself the tough question, who cares about this anyway? Who is that audience? And then tailor it to that audience. You're speaking to a very specific audience. So you start off right there by being the high level objectives and your goals. On the next slide, you would ask yourself, why should they care? For instance, if it's a sales group, if you've ever talked to a sales group, they have the attention of a gnat. So if you do not tell them how they're going to make money in the next quarter, you've already lost them. So you can entertain, entice, challenge, tell them a story or tell them something new, but be very, very careful about why they should care and why they should listen to you. So on the very next slide, these three simple steps, keep it simple. I was watching today a climate control presentation, and the person had their back to you and it was just filled with numbers and letters and nothing you could even read. So if you want to reach your audience, you have to keep it simple, have a key message that you communicate frequently. In this case, the three steps in preparation, presentation, and follow-up. Then reinforce it, and then always know what you want the outcome to be, your action steps. On the next slide, this is fast, I know, but you'll get the idea. Retention, if I just talk to you, maybe you would retain that for 3 days or so, a 10%. If you had only visuals, you would maybe have a 30% retention. But if you have words with pictures, it's over 60%. Just to give you an example, you absolutely cannot unsee the Ukrainian war footage, can you? You cannot unsee those horrible pictures. But what it really needed was context by President Zelensky, which he does exceptionally well. So the point of this is just you are the anchor of the show and everything else is support. So on the next slide, you're finally ready. You're ready to practice and refine this format using whether it's on a computer or in person. So now you need to think about how your content's going to come across and how your voice is going to come across. For instance, you could speak really, really loudly and jump people out of their chairs, or you could speak very softly and they have to lean forward to hear every jewel that comes from your mouth. So what I always recommend is you record yourself. Don't watch it, just listen. Ums, ahs. You ever seen anybody on TV going, you know, and you can't stand it? Then watch your face to make sure you look friendly and smile. And if you make eye contact, especially in a group, it's really hard for people to fall asleep if they don't know when your eyes are going to focus on them, or maybe they won't care, who knows. But next page is how to present. So you dress appropriately for your audience and your venue. For instance, when I was in Japan, I had a favorite red sports jacket. I was told that was very vulgar and never to wear it again. Lesson learned. I met with the 22 Arab countries, and they told me that my very nice silk blouse was offensive. So it's just important to be aware of the culture. And I think Joan and Penelope and Andrea could all address this for you. Always arrive early to review the room and the electronics, and things don't work sometimes. So options. If this hadn't worked now, I would probably try to do it at the end of the meeting rather than at the beginning of the meeting. And if that didn't work, I'd try to find a different time. Or better yet, I'd probably make one of either Joan or Penelope or Andrea do this presentation instead of me. So that would be my best fix of all. On the next page, you always introduce yourself. Andrea very nicely and beautifully introduced me as Mary Frost, and why am I here to do our presentation steps, these 3 steps, and smile, move around, and look at individuals in person. And you can vary the speed, pitch, and tone of your speech, and you can use gestures to make a point. Or if you use too many gestures, people just like, I'm watching the hands. I don't care what they're saying. So use gestures judiciously, or you'll be distracted. Next point on the presentation is to anticipate questions and even prearrange those audience questions you want to answer, because a lot of times when you're, especially in an outside conference or something, people don't want to be the first one. So it's kind of like an icebreaker if you can get someone to come up with a question to get things going. Now I have to mention that this survey that we're going to do, this is actually Andrea's favorite survey about chocolate, I'd have to say. But it's a fun interactive tool, and you can do it 3 ways. You can do a survey before your presentation in order to either hone in or refine your presentation if it's a widespread audience, a diverse group. You can do, it's fun to do a survey during a presentation, but it requires a lot of time and expertise.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Oh, look at that. And finally,
Thanks. I appreciate that.
where's my coffee?
Yeah. Coming up.
Anyway, if you send it, you can send a survey afterwards to see what they thought of your presentation. So those are what we're going to do here. On the next page, this is the follow-up, the so what component. So what is the specific follow-up suggestions or actions tied to our key message, and how you can go about making sure that people have more detailed information. Maybe it's statistics, or it's a link to other sites, or your virtual presentation. And always have a final slide with your in-contact information if it's external. And always thank the audience for their time, because they've taken time out of their day to spend time with you. So I always consider that like so important to prepare the presentation, because you're taking up their time. And we really appreciate your taking your time to spend with us. So what we're going to follow up with on the next page. Oh, I wanted to make one more point here on the specific follow-up suggestions. For instance, think about if you were Elon Musk. So you would have said, I want 400 Starlink antennas sent to Ukraine in the next 24 hours. I want you to turn on the Starlink system and make sure it works in the next 24 hours. Those are very specific action points tied to his key message of helping out the Ukraine. So now we're ready for the follow-up survey. I know I've been talking fast, but maybe you have time to do, we're willing to do one-on-one with you, or you can do practice sessions. Do put your responses in the chat room right now. And always have your elevator pitch ready. That's your 30-second. I had lunch with a New York, a graduate of NYU. She's just finishing up in global business. So I said, give me your elevator pitch. And she goes, well, I'm graduating with a global business and I want a global job. And I was going, not quite. Got to do better than that. Be very specific and have it ready even for strangers that you meet. People used to ask me all the time, what do you do? When I was VP of Operations and Engineering at ABC Network. And in order not to go through the lengthy process, I just said, I just get blamed for everything that goes wrong. And that was so true. And it seems to have been my life history. No matter what company I was in, it seemed like I was always the blame agent for whatever went wrong. So Andrea is looking at chats right now. And so if you have some, please direct those to whoever you want, or to Andrea will.
There okay. Finally, thank you, Diane. Somebody who would like one-on-one follow-up. Nobody has any questions. There are 34 people on this, which means 30 people in addition to Mary, Penelope, and me. And somebody has got to have a question. I know we had one of the things we had talked about, and Joan, I'm going to toss to you, which is about how do you create your presentations or make your presentations differently when you're working with different kinds of international clients or groups?
Well, thank you, Andrea. I know Andrea and I have known each other way back from ComSat days, and I appreciate that her remark that I can spin the story and sell anything. So I don't know where I would go. She's
called the very first private VSAT corporate network in the world. So
thank you. That's enough. Okay, now in terms of international, let's address this. Why should that matter? To what Mary has said. Mary has given us all the basics, and everything she says applies to both an English-speaking or a multi-language audience. But you need to pay particular attention when you have a multi-language audience. And fortunately, my career has taken me around the world more than once, and I felt like I was always addressing a multi-language audience. So yes, culture matters, but more importantly, the preparation and the organization of your thought is extremely important. You've got to synchronize not only your visual and your audio, they need to be in sync, because picture yourself as a person who does not speak English as a first language. You're making that translation in your head. And if the speech does not match sync with the visuals, you're lost. So I can't stress more on the organization that Mary addressed. And the second point, and it's important, is the speed of your speech. Because in an international forum, the people are making that mental translation. And I read somewhere that an average person speaks about 150 words to 200 words a minute. So when you skip a word or even a phrase or a sentence for that matter, the listener will make that bridge if they're English speaking. But if you're in a multi-language audience, they may not be able to do that. And you lost them. And what they will tend to do is either look at your visuals and try to make sense out of that and forget about what you're speaking. So it's important that you do take your time, allow a pause to breathe and have your audience catch up with you, as well as making sure what you say and what they're seeing are totally synchronized. And that's all in the preparation and formatting. And of course, delivery counts. So gauge your speaking and speak more deliberately and slowly. And what that means is practice. Just like Mary says, find a mirror, practice, find a recording, and practice your speech before you go out to announce to a foreign, audience. And last but not least is preparation for backup. I couldn't tell you how many times I walk into a foreign audience or even a sales meeting where I expected to have certain things, and then they say, oh, we don't have an outlet, or the outlet plug is a different, calibration, and your computer doesn't match my computer. So you have to throw all that out the window and start making hard copies or draw on a whiteboard there are different ways to deal with that. And you need to think about what your alternatives might be. And that's why practice makes a difference. And I guess that's my recommendation.
Thanks, Joan. That's terrific. And the preparation and the practice, as we keep coming back to, and one of the questions we have, I'm going to ask Penelope to address, which is how you manage nervousness and speaking in front of large groups.
Oh, that's a very good question. Actually, I was thinking before this presentation, what I might add over, I know what would be Mary's very concise presentation. And I think that was one of the ones, is nervousness. And I'll acknowledge the fact I was never that comfortable speaking publicly. Even as a PR person, I always felt my role was to put my executive, my clients, my customers in front of the camera, and I was never the one that was seeking that. So being a public speaker is not always easy and comfortable, but when you are called on to do it, I would say that the big lessons I learned over the years is just to try to be as natural as you can. Just be yourself when you're in front of an audience. I mean, as long as you know your subject and you know it inside and out, which we all do as professionals, we're not going to stand up in front of somebody unless we know what it is that we're trying to convey. And as Mary pointed out, you have to know what you're there for and know your key messages, don't overload the messages, and then reinforce those. As long as you've got that behind you, the most important thing, I think, and I wish I'd learned this when I was younger, is to just be yourself, to be natural, to try to remember that, have confidence, you know the information. And don't be intimidated by an audience, and particularly a larger audience. It's very easy to go, whoa, all these people out there. And yet at the same time, it's just a lot of one individual persons. And try to imagine you're just talking to one person. And just, and like, as Mary pointed out, it's okay to use some hand gestures and modulate your voice accordingly. But part of that also, I think, is not taking yourself too seriously, which I was often guilty of, is being able to be just relaxed and comfortable. And if you make a mistake, it's okay. We all make mistakes at some point or another. And there's not enough time to tell you a couple of the stories that I had when I was making a presentation and I forgot somebody's name once. Or horror of horrors, I had two men in committees that I was managing, both names Richard, but went by the shortened version of Dick. And I made the awful mistake of referring to the two Dicks in the room. I was so young then, and I didn't know how to handle that. Now I would have fun with it and just, and flow with it. So it's okay to just say, oops, well, that didn't come out very well, did it? And just move on, and don't belabor the point. And it's also the other point I would add that I think for me that I learned is it's okay sometimes to say, I don't think I know the answer to that question. But I will get back to you. I'll make sure I find out, and we'll get back to you on that. But and it's a very good point, and we need to look into that more, or whatever it is. But it's okay to not always know everything.
Thanks, Penelope. And that actually answers one of the questions, I think, really, which is maintaining authenticity while sticking to your presentation. And again, it always comes back to preparation. As you noticed in Mary's slides, the vast majority of the slides were about preparation and just a little bit about the actual presentation, because it's a preparation. And that includes, answer again the question on adding, humor, which is one of the things, and from my perspective, go pick up one of the things that Penelope said, which is picking up on cues in the room if you're in person, which is much easier than when we're all on Zoom, but to pick up on what's going on in the room to be able to respond. And I would actually suggest, I know it may sound weird, but to look at some stand-up comedians YouTube videos and see how stand-up comedians handle hecklers, how they handle problems, how they handle the room. And I think a lot of the really good ones have developed those kinds of tools And that's, I think, a really important thing. I only see one person who's interested in either one-on-one or group follow-up practice sessions. So if anybody else wants some, please put it in the chat. And Mary, I'm going to toss to you this one question on how to improve someone's elevator pitch. Any tips on how to improve the elevator pitch?
Well, again, you sort of look at who the audience is. It could be a stranger that might be your next boss in the elevator, or it could be a cocktail party, or just a party. When you tell people who you are and what you do, it's also kind of fun if you'd add a couple of words about what are important traits that you have. Like, for instance, for me, I am extremely curious about almost anything, but especially technology. So I really like future visions. So the first thing is your name, and then your company and your position. And then something about yourself that makes you intriguing to that person. If you could, think about yourself and those traits that somebody would say, wow, I love anybody who's interested in future technology. So am I. It can be a starting point for a conversation as well.
Penelope or Joan, do you have anything else to add on that? Yes, Penelope.
I just saw a comment coming in about any other tips on making sure your audience is engaged. And I would say one suggestion would be, if you feel that you're losing them, whether it's on Zoom or in person, try to maybe interject a question. And maybe, just to say, did that come across, or maybe I didn't make that point very clearly, or some question related to a specific point you're trying to make, to sort of force people to go, oops, I'm on the spot here.
Oh, I could answer that too, real quickly. I was giving a presentation for Price Waterhouse out in California, and I was on with Esther Dyson and Graham Nash, the songwriter. And I went down the morning before, didn't sleep all night because I was so nervous about my little Price Waterhouse presentation on statistics, basically. And when I read the room, I quickly saw nobody gave a damn about what Price Waterhouse had to say, and least of all me. So I really, I shortened my presentation because all anybody wanted to do was to hear Graham Nash talk about stuff. So that's the way you could read a room, for instance.
Mm-hmm. And then one of the things you do when something like that happens, which is also making sure that whatever it is you were trying to say, assuming you had actual presentation, a slide deck or something, is to say, I'm not going to take more of your time on this, but I will send copies of my presentation to everybody. And that's also one of the things, which may be our wrap up, because I think we're hitting our half hour, Jomi, is that the slides that Mary had talked from or to or with will be available basically as international, as online handouts. And so I guess Tamara is going to put those out to everybody. So you can have that. And then Jomi has one more question on multi-language audience. Ever felt you had to adapt your presentation based on gender, other than not talking about the dicks in the room? I'd have to say, and it's an interesting point and it reflects my age, that I don't know that I have, other than this group, have ever made a presentation to an audience that was not predominantly male. And I don't know
have
about
to agree with that.
Yeah.
I totally agree with Andrea, especially on international trips. I have more frequently gone in and people look at me. I mean, I'm not a tall person, I'm only 5 feet. A petite person and a female, I mean, they kind of not know what to do with, how to take you. And you take advantage of that. Take advantage of all of your features. And so with that, like Mary said, you might raise your voice, you may speak slowly and softly to capture their attention. Those are features and modulate your voice, and you may be their center of attraction just because you're not a female. I mean, you're not a male in an all male dominated audience. Now, the reverse may also happen is that you walk in, it's all female and you're among peer groups. And so they may also test you on thinking, what is it that you know? Because in their culture, women don't rise to an executive level. So they don't frequently see women in a controlled environment. And I refer that to Christine Lagarde. She's very good in capturing everybody's attention. So I think, yes, you do have to kind of gauge, but don't let that deter you. In fact, play that to your advantage.
Anybody else have any other comments on that? I think it was all very well said. So again, while we're continuing with the rest of the meeting, other than Tamara and Diane, anybody who wants some one-on-one or to work with a smaller group, just put it in the chat. Chat's still open while the rest of the meeting progresses. And I want to thank Mary in particular, as well as Penelope and Joan, for helping talk about what it is that we've all done for a lot of our career, and hoping that this helps those of you who may be moving up and trying to move up using your presentation skills. So thanks, everybody.
Thank you.
Well, thank you so much for this really fantastic panel. I have found out that, as a matter of fact, Deborah Factor was here all along, but she was masquerading as well, I can't remember who she was masquerading as, but anyway, she's here. Well, I'm telling tales. She was here. Anyway, so I'm going to, after all, turn this back over to Jomia. I was going to turn it over to Deborah, but
Yeah, Deborah said she had to leave. So thank you again to Mary for the presentation, Joan, Penelope, and Mary for the panel discussion, and Andrea for moderating it. Personally, when Andrea was asking, oh, does anyone want one-on-one sessions? Part of me was thinking, yeah, I would. I'm also a little bit daunted or maybe not willing to speak up right now. So Tamara, maybe we can send out a survey or something if anyone thinks about it a little bit more and is interested in one-on-one sessions. I think there's a lot to learn from all of our mentors and especially our panelists today. So definitely reach out if you think about this a little bit more and realize that you do want a one-on-one session. With that, Tamara, do you mind pulling up the agenda? I think the next few minutes, we just want to give a brief update on our working groups. So if our chairs can just briefly talk about the groups and where we're at. And now I'm noticing a lot of my ums after Mary mentioned it into presentations again. But elevating women, do we have someone from the group who can help speak to that? Maybe not. Okay, social media.
Yes, this is Elizabeth. I can speak to that. Three things really. The social media campaign is ongoing, weekly wise words. We still encourage everyone to please participate, send us your wise words or get in touch and we'll send you the template. And I'd like to pass on something that actually came up when I was talking to Mary Frost about this. And she said, wouldn't it be a great idea to get all of those and put them in a book and use them for STEM outreach, so that to encourage people to come into the industry so they know how much we all enjoy it. So maybe STEM outreach would also like to join us in pushing to get people to produce wise words after that, because I think it's a great idea. So thank you, Mary. Also, we're posting things on LinkedIn, we're tweeting. If you hear of anything that someone else, another woman has done that you think deserves promoting, let us know or post it and give us the link and we'll repost it. or just let us know and we'll do it ourselves for you. But everything that's going on at any of the conferences that people are going to, we've got CABSAT, CIDALIA, Suffolk Communication coming up. Again, keep us posted as to what's happening. For next month's meeting, we've got a confirmed speaker, Dr. Erin Bound Anderson, who is Director of Community Innovation from Geeks Without Frontiers. Geeks Without Frontiers, I don't think Erin's on this call. If she is, please speak up.
Hi, I'm here.
You're here. Okay, well, would you like to
Yes.
introduce yourself and tell us what
Well,
you're going to talk?
sure. Sure. I'm one of the newest members of the Geeks Without Frontiers team. I am primarily focused right now on our N50 project within Geeks Without Frontiers. I have 20 years experience in the K-12 education space. And so this transition really is moving over to continue the why connect, right? So why are we connecting in different places and with different projects in order to make the best impact for some of our most marginalized communities around the world. So I'm excited to talk about some specific things that we're doing and particularly some recent efforts in and around Ukraine.
Great.
Thanks for having me.
No, looking forward to your presentation next week, very much so. Okay, and that's it from social media.
Excellent. Thanks, Elizabeth. Who do we have next? Networking, you want to go next? Kirsten, maybe?
Hey, hi everyone.
Oh,
Let's see. Networking. First thing about networking, we have changed our name. We are no longer networking and swag. We decided to no longer have and swag. Although swag is still in our purview, we've deleted it from our name. Second thing, when last we kind of talked and debriefed about it, just for those of you who hopefully many of you were at the satellite networking event that we did, it went really, really well. We had a lot of, we didn't actually count, but I would guess we had 50 people and we were in this atrium area and it was very easy. We didn't have to guarantee anything. We didn't have to particularly plan other than announcing it. And so we've decided for the larger shows, to the extent that we can replicate that, that worked really well for us. So to that end, we are intending to do a short survey to the membership to find out which of the larger satellite shows globally would people be interested in having a similar event and semi-committing to be there if we did it. So that should be coming around. And then the last thing is back to swag. We're working through the issues. We're working through the scarves. I think in full disclosure, we've decided maybe the scarves weren't the best choice and now have become an additional problem that shipping has gone absolutely through the roof, like 4 times the cost of the scarf to ship to Europe from here. So we're working through a different distribution system, kind of like handing off to one another. But we are also going to start researching pins because we've, little lapel pins. We've gotten a lot of good feedback about that. So for those of you concerned about swag, have no fear, we're on it. And that's all I have for today. Thank you.
thanks, Jennifer.
Sure.
All right, STEM.
Hey, I'll let Heidi off the hook. She was helping cover me since I wasn't able to be here at the beginning of the meeting. We really only have 2 major things that we're working on. We've been working with the social media group to create a series of posts to promote the STEM outreach working group. We have 2 of them created. I know one of them has been released. I think the other one was being released this week. I'm not sure if it has already been released. And then we have 2 in the works. So there will be 4 posts from us. And we are also working on our teacher's guide. I was able to sit down with Heidi 2 days ago, and we were adding ideas of topics to the document. That's the stage we're at. We're just trying to get good ideas of activities and topics that can go with the existing videos that SSPI produced. So we are in that stage of brainstorming and getting ideas for topics.
Audrey, can I raise a question? This is Andrea Malater.
Of course.
What was, and I think this came up a long time ago, but in the STEM outreach, have you looked at reaching out to the Girl Scouts? Because I know the Girl Scout groups, I know I have a grandniece who's in one in Bethesda, and they're all into technology of different kinds.
Yes, I mean, we've talked about that. Ultimately, we want to create kind of a database of partners, right? So people who want to receive STEM education in the space from the space sector, and also like SSPI members and members of industry organizations who are willing to help, so that we can partner people up and we can provide resources for things like the Girl Scouts. So, and we've talked about that with Robert Bell too, in terms of the distribution of the teacher's guide that we're working on for SSPI. That being, you know, the Girl Scouts, Boy Scouts, those kinds of groups do a lot of STEM in their badges and their curriculum. I guess curriculum is not exactly the right word, but they do a lot of that in their efforts. And so, you know, that kind of outreach is part of what we want to do. Yes. So if anybody does have ideas for industry partners or educational groups, that would be a great pairing. I think Tamara will be setting us up with a group email soon. I hope, Tamara. And please feel free to email us all these ideas. It will help with one of our focuses, which is setting up this database of people we can partner together. So thank you.
Thanks, Audrey. Looks like Jennifer mentioned in the chat for networking, Asia Tech specifically. If you're going to Asia Tech, please get in touch with Kirsten. This is one of the shows in early June, and we're considering a networking event at that event. So please let her know if you will be there. I see a lot of new faces on in the group right now. So if there's a working group that you're interested in joining, please reach out to one of the leads that spoke today, or feel free to message me or Tamara, and we can get you connected to the right working group. Last working group.
Can I give a little update on, this is Wendy, can I give a little update on the mentoring group?
Oh, go for it, Wendy.
Well, first of all, thank you, Andrea, Mary, Penelope, and Joan for putting on today's program. The mentoring group is doing ongoing pairing of mentors and mentees, and we welcome new volunteers. We have a number of volunteers who are actually looking for people who want to be mentored. So if you know anybody who would like some support from someone with more experience in the industry, please send them our way. We're working on creating something on the SSPI-WISE website so that it's easier for people to sign up to become mentors and mentees. And I just wanted to let people know that our next meeting of the mentoring group is this coming Wednesday, May 4th. It's going to be 8:30 in the morning Pacific time, 11:30 Eastern time. I never quite have the European times in my head, but please let Tamara know if you would like an invitation to that meeting.
May the 4th be with you.
That's right. May the 4th be with you. Exactly.
Oh, yes, yes.
Thanks, Wendy. Sorry about missing the mentoring group. So last thing is we are working to start up a sustainability group, more for all of these groups are brainstorming and executing on a lot of different events. We've done so much in the past year and a half now. So we're really looking into how do we maintain things going forward. So if you're interested in that one, let me know. Other than that, Tamara, did you want to bring up anything else?
Yes, I did. Okay, so there's a couple of things that on the topic that Jomia was just mentioning about sustainment. There's a couple of things that we're working on. And so Audrey just was mentioning that each of the working groups, some of the working groups already have outward facing email addresses. I'm setting up outward facing email addresses for all of the working groups so that we have that and we can communicate out to people and people can communicate into us. So that's in progress. But the other thing is that right now, the way that I communicate with you all is that I take whatever list of whoever registered from the last meeting and I add it to all the other past meetings of anybody. And then I have to dedupe it. And so that I don't send you 5 emails because you showed up for 5 meetings. So it's a very, very manual process right this minute. And I'm really working hard to not have it be a manual process. So we have set up in the SSPI database a checkbox opportunity where you can say, I identify as a woman and I would like to be on the SSPI-WISE mailing list, or I don't identify as a woman, but I'd like to be an ally of SSPI-WISE. That exists in the database right now. You can go and log into your account and sign up for it and just edit your profile and click on it, and that's fine. If you are joining SSPI for the very first time, that'll come up as part of the join process. And so you'll have the opportunity to make that selection at that point. It is optional. You don't have to do it, but everybody here, please do it. That said, if you are not currently an SSPI member, and if you don't have an easy way to join SSPI, say for instance, if your company is a corporate member and therefore your membership is free, or say for instance, if you're currently a student and then also your membership is free, we have been honored by Hughes with a sponsorship that allows for us to let anybody who's going to work in a working group join SSPI for free so that you can be on a working group. So there is a form. I will be posting it and I will also be sharing it with everyone. And again, it will give you the opportunity to say, I want to be a part of this working group and I want to take advantage of the complimentary membership for a year that is being made possible by Hughes. So please do. We are very grateful for Hughes's support in this way. And it's a great way to get yourself organized and in SSPI network so that you can have all the benefits of membership, including being on a working group with SSPI-WISE. So that's my news. Oh, also, for social media, we are launching our next, SSPI is launching its next campaign. It's called Untangling the Supply Chain. It starts next week, Monday, and it will run for 6 weeks. And so if there's an upcoming blog that might possibly have something to do with that topic, we'd be super grateful to promote it as part of it. But
okay, duly noted. I was thinking of doing one tying in with Erin's presentation actually, but
well, please do. Please do. I'm not telling you to change your content. I'm just letting everybody know that that is an opportunity available.
okay.
So there you have it.
Got it.
And going back to the Hughes membership sponsor, I mean, folks here, you're already in the group, but this is the perfect opportunity to go recruit other folks that you think should join the group as well. So they don't need to worry about membership, just bring them along for the working group. Tamara, do we have anything else on our agenda?
Now let's take a quick look. I think we're at the end of our agenda. No, that's the wrong document. Let's see. Yeah, so we are all the way, we are early. We are at the end of our agenda. And okay, oh no. Okay, how do I stop sharing? Stop sharing. Okay. So we're at the end. So we can give folks back like 8 minutes of their day.
Yep. So thanks everyone for joining again. Thanks to the panelists and Andrea for the talk earlier as well. If you want to join the working groups, let us know. We'll get you in touch with the right leads. So,
And
thanks
one-
everyone.
Tamara or Jomaya, do we have a date for next month's meeting, just to try to promote it really quickly?
Generally speaking, it's going to be it's always the fourth
Thursday.
Thursday. Next
26th.
next month, it's going to be an afternoon Eastern meeting. So I'm thinking that's at 2 o'clock, but I'm not looking at my the calendar right now.
It's May 26th.
Tamara.
Yes. Who said what? I'm sorry. I heard.
It's Vinny, May 25th.
25th.
That's what we have. Yes,
Thank you.
2 p.m.
2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Thank you, Elizabeth.
Isn't it 26th since it's a Thursday?
No, it was
We
moved.
moved.
There was an email with announcing like 5 months worth of meetings a while back. And it's actually on a Wednesday at 2 o'clock. Daylight. I know. That's what I have. I just looked at my calendar. And when that email came in a couple of months ago, I loaded them all into my calendar. And yeah, 2 o'clock in the afternoon on the 25th.
Okay,
The
then.
is that
I
the
don't remember
25th?
why we did that,
Yeah.
but
I don't
but
know if I
if
still
it
have
was
the
on the
email, but-
calendar, it's because we talked about it. And so, yes,
Tamara,
yes.
would you mind just sending out that email again with all the dates, or whoever sent the email out? Because I still have it on the Thursday, the 26th or whatever. So at
Okay,
11
I'll pull up
a.m.
the-
Eastern.
I'll pull up the calendar and I'll pull up the calendar and I'll send it to Alex so that when we send out the notes for this meeting, everybody will see it.
Okay, great.
Terrific. And I have a list, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I have 6 people who are interested in one-on-one practice and 4 people who are interested in small group practice. Anybody else who is interested, admalater@gmail.com. And let me know, and then I'll work with Tamara and Mary and Penelope and Joan, and we'll work on setting up some sessions.
Okay.
All right. Thanks everyone. See you next month.
See you next
Bye.
month. Thank you,
Good to
everyone.
see you. Good to see everybody.